Charlotte Flair, one of the most accomplished women in WWE history, is a polarizing figure, with 14 championship reigns, undeniable in-ring talent, and a larger-than-life persona. She has carved out a legacy that few can match. Yet, despite her achievements, a significant portion of the WWE fanbase harbors strong resentment toward her. This animosity, often labeled as hate, stems from a variety of factors: her booking, her character, her privileged background, and perceived backstage behavior. To understand why Charlotte Flair is such a divisive figure, we need to dive deep into her journey, from her origins to her controversial moments, and explore whether the criticism directed at her is justified. Additionally, we'll examine her current trajectory in WWE and what the future might hold for this wrestling icon. Charlotte Flair's story begins with her lineage. Born Ashley Elizabeth Flair, she is the daughter of Ric Flair, a 16-time world champion and one of wrestling's most legendary figures. This connection to wrestling royalty gave Charlotte a unique entry into the industry. Unlike many wrestlers who grind through the independent circuit for years, Charlotte's path was smoother, with access to WWE's developmental system, NXT. From the start, her rapid rise to prominence led some fans to view her success as handed rather than earned. The perception of nepotism created an early undercurrent of resentment, as many felt she was given opportunities others had to fight harder for. This sentiment laid the foundation for the criticism that would follow her throughout her career. Charlotte's entry into wrestling wasn't initially driven by personal ambition. She initially avoided following in her father's footsteps, pursuing other interests. However, the tragic death of her brother, Reed Flair, in 2013 profoundly impacted her. Reed had aspired to become a wrestler, and his passing shifted Charlotte's perspective. She entered the wrestling world to honor his dream, channeling her grief into a new purpose. This emotional drive became a core part of her narrative, adding depth to her character and fueling her determination in the ring. For many, this backstory humanized her, but it wasn't enough to shield her from growing fan discontent. Charlotte's ascent in WWE was meteoric. She debuted in NXT in 2013, quickly establishing herself as a standout performer with her athleticism, charisma, and natural flair. By 2015, she was on the main roster, joining the likes of Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch, and Bayley in what became known as the Women's Revolution. This era marked a shift in WWE, with women's wrestling gaining unprecedented prominence. Charlotte was at the forefront, praised for her in-ring prowess and ability to deliver high-caliber matches. Initially, fans embraced her as a key figure in this movement, appreciating her contributions to elevating women's wrestling. However, the tide began to turn as her dominance grew. Charlotte's frequent championship victories, 14 titles across her career, became a point of contention. While her talent was undeniable, her constant presence in the title picture led to accusations of overbooking. Fans grew fatigued as she repeatedly won championships, often at the expense of fan favorites like Sasha Banks. The perception that WWE favored her, possibly due to her lineage, fueled resentment. Her booking often made her appear invincible, which clashed with fans' desire for underdog stories or fresh faces to shine. This sense of overprotection became a recurring theme, with many feeling that WWE prioritized Charlotte over other talented women on the roster. One of the most significant moments in Charlotte's career, and a turning point in fan perception, came at WrestleMania 34 in 2018. Charlotte ended Asuka's 914-day undefeated streak, a monumental achievement that stunned fans. Asuka, a beloved figure known for her dominance in NXT and beyond, was seen as untouchable, and her loss to Charlotte felt unnecessary to many. The decision was widely criticized, with fans arguing that it diminished Asuka's aura to bolster Charlotte's resume. This moment crystallized the narrative of Charlotte as WWE's chosen star, someone who was pushed at the expense of others. Later that year, Charlotte was inserted into a high-profile storyline involving Becky Lynch at SummerSlam 2018. Becky, who was rapidly gaining popularity as an underdog, was overshadowed by Charlotte's involvement. The storyline culminated in Becky turning heel, a move that backfired as fans rallied behind her, rejecting Charlotte's role in the feud. This period marked the rise of Becky Lynch as the man persona, which resonated deeply with audiences. Charlotte, by contrast, became a focal point for fan frustration. As her presence seemed to stifle Becky's momentum, the backlash grew louder, with fans viewing Charlotte as a symbol of WWE's tendency to prioritize established stars over emerging ones. The controversy surrounding Charlotte intensified at WrestleMania 35 in 2019. WWE inserted her into the highly anticipated Becky Lynch vs. Ronda Rousey match, turning it into a triple threat contest. Charlotte was also given a title opportunity against Asuka, defeating her in a match that many felt was unwarranted. Asuka, a fan favorite, was once again sidelined, and the decision to give Charlotte yet another championship reign sparked outrage. Fans accused WWE of favoritism, arguing that Charlotte's inclusion in major storylines often felt forced. This perception of her as the company's golden child deepened the divide between her and the audience. Another incident that fueled criticism occurred at TLC 2019, where Charlotte was involved in a match that raised concerns about her in-ring judgment. During the event, she continued wrestling despite her opponent, Kairi Sane, appearing visibly concussed. The decision drew significant backlash, with fans and analysts questioning Charlotte's awareness and concern for her opponent's safety. While accidents can happen in the high-risk world of professional wrestling, this moment added to the narrative that Charlotte's ambition sometimes came at the expense of others. Backstage incidents further complicated Charlotte's reputation. A notable clash with Becky Lynch during a title swap segment in 2021 was particularly damaging. The tense exchange, which played out on live television, led fans to speculate that Charlotte's on-screen arrogance reflected her real-life demeanor. Reports of backstage drama and perceived entitlement only amplified the negativity. Whether these perceptions were entirely accurate or not, they contributed to a growing sense that Charlotte was difficult to work with, further alienating fans who already felt she was overpushed. Charlotte's return to WWE in 2025 after a serious injury, a torn ACL, MCL, and meniscus that sidelined her for all of 2024, reignited the debate. She made a triumphant comeback, winning the Royal Rumble and challenging Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton. Her actions, including verbal and physical attacks on Stratton, drew criticism from fans who felt she was once again overshadowing a rising star. Tiffany, a younger talent with significant potential, represented the future of WWE's women's division. Charlotte's aggressive pursuit of the title was seen by some as an attempt to stifle Stratton's momentum, reinforcing the narrative that Charlotte sabotages emerging talent. The cumulative effect of these events has transformed Charlotte's image. Once booed as a heel in the traditional wrestling sense, she now faces rejection that feels personal. Fans no longer see her solely as a villainous character. Many criticize her as a person, citing perceived arrogance, reckless behavior, and a sense of entitlement. This shift has cemented her as one of wrestling's most polarizing figures, often labeled as the most hated woman in WWE. So, is the hate justified? The answer depends on perspective. Charlotte Flair is undeniably a phenomenal in-ring performer. Her athleticism, charisma, and ability to deliver memorable matches are unquestionable. She has a natural presence that commands attention, and her connection with the audience, whether through cheers or boos, ensures she remains a focal point. In professional wrestling, eliciting a reaction is paramount, and Charlotte excels at this. However, her promo skills, while serviceable, are not her strongest asset. Her character work, on the other hand, is compelling, as she seamlessly blends arrogance and vulnerability to create a complex persona. The criticism of Charlotte often centers on WWE's booking decisions rather than her talent. The company's tendency to position her as the centerpiece of the women's division, often at the expense of others, has created resentment. Fans crave variety and opportunities for new stars, and Charlotte's dominance can feel stifling. Moments like her victory over Asuka or her insertion into major feuds have left fans feeling that WWE prioritizes her legacy over storytelling fairness. Additionally, incidents like the TLC 2019 match and her clash with Becky Lynch have fueled perceptions of unprofessionalism, whether deserved or not. WWE's handling of Charlotte in 2025 offers a glimmer of change. Her return and subsequent feud with Tiffany Stratton marked a departure from past patterns. Historically, Charlotte would likely have won the title, solidifying her dominance. Instead, WWE chose to elevate Stratton, a younger star with long-term potential. This decision suggests a shift in philosophy, with WWE recognizing the need to balance Charlotte's star power with the development of new talent. At nearly 40, Charlotte remains a major draw, but her role may evolve into one that helps elevate the next generation rather than overshadowing it.